Hello, everybody.
Well, that immediately died.
I was. I don't know what I was going for. I went for one thing and I was like, no, don't do that thing. Do this other thing. And it's just sort of.
I see.
So, hi, everybody. Anime Reflux will be boring because Casey's brain is stupid. Uh, yeah. This one is a show that we've all seen, except maybe Patient, but he's not here yet. Uh, and by all seen, I mean seen like when it came out because it was the new hotness at the time.
Yeah,
Funny how things change when accusations of plagiarism come into things. So yeah,
I would have still watched it anyway. I mean,
me too. But
Hmm.
you know, it's not like we specifically can have like massive gripes about that sort of thing when it comes to creating works, especially when they very obviously have a lot of creative vision behind them outside of the things that maybe were not entirely their own.
yeah,
Fan
it
fiction,
feels
yo.
feels kind of weird to cancel a entire project for what was probably
So
just a
I'm
couple pages, I think.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure. What was the plagiarism controversy all about?
It was tracing. So, I think this was a manga
It
originally.
was no, it's a visual novel series.
Was it? Okay, yeah. And I assume then that some of the portraits were very, very, very much influenced, let's say, by someone else's work. And thus,
Hmm.
yeah, that's uh, that's apparently more of a no-no than stealing entire fight choreography and animation for fight scenes in anime, because fucking everybody does that.
Yeah, I think I've seen the same fight scene like four different times.
Yeah, there is the meme of I think it was Spike Spiegel, Cowboy Bebop, and Sasuke from Naruto, and it's just the same fight scene or something.
Uh, we might be thinking of different fights entirely, but there was one that was Cowboy Bebop and the tuning exam fight between Naruto and Neji.
Oh yeah, that might be the one. Yeah. So yeah, that's it's not like it's a rarity, and taking. I mean, tracing sure, but the character designs are pretty distinct. So as far as I'm guessing, it was just the posing that was lifted. I guess I don't. I we really shouldn't talk about this in detail. We don't actually know all the facts, and we're like guessing at a lot of this. But it there was a lot of creative vision in this, and it's a real shame that it got so hampered by that whole thing.
The least egregious form of copying, basically, is tracing.
Because again, it was a light novel series. So the tracing controversy seems just really odd to me. Because I'm not sure if was the illustrator and author the same person or were they two different people.
I think it was the same person.
Okay, then that would be the issue.
I'm going to
Because usually
Google
it's a
this.
it's a different illustrator and a different author.
Uh,
I mean, that's the only way it could be an issue. Otherwise, they would just fire the
Hmm.
illustrator and
Hello.
hey, patient, what's up?
hello, we've started. Uh,
I figured as much. I'd feel worse if you had waited on me this long.
no,
Sorry.
we only waited. We've only been going for a couple minutes. Don't worry about it.
We had a bit of a late start anyway because Casey was still watching the episode, which happens.
What
Fair
was
enough.
the thing that I was trying to do? I've forgotten. Fuck. Yeah. Okay. The Wikipedia page does not say anything about tracing or plagiarism. Interestingly,
Huh.
which is strange because I know it happened.
Yeah, I think Google might need to be called upon to answer that question.
Yeah. Right, no game, no life. Plagiarism. There we go. Uh, okay, so yeah, there was some artwork that was traced and it was corrected in later releases. And yeah, that wasn't the reason that it all got hampered. It was because the author has health problems, and
Oh,
that was why.
okay.
So,
Well, that sucks, but I mean, it's better than yeah.
yeah, that was some poor information that I was giving, and I apologize. So
Yeah, because I was a little bit curious about that in particular. So I've heard it mentioned before, but I wasn't sure on the full story.
yeah, so the first few minutes of this were complete bullshit. Okay, that's a great start to an episode. So, no game, no life. Is
Or
the
just
show.
a highlight of misinformation in the anime industry.
Yeah, well, we're in a different country, multiple different countries actually, so we don't have all the pertinent information. Not that the Japanese creative industry is particularly forthcoming on that kind of thing in the first place. So this show is a show that we all watched except possibly Patient. I don't know. Patient, did you watch this back in the day?
I only know the name, and I didn't know that it was an anime. I didn't know what it was until now.
Okay. So, yeah. Slicer Zero and I watched this back in the day when it first came out because it was the new hotness. And I had misgivings about it at the time, specifically due to the art style. Those misgivings have vanished, apparently. Maybe I just got used to it over time, and now it's just a thing that I'm okay with. But, yeah. So, concept of this show is there are two NEETs. Complete 100% hikikomori. They do not go outside. They eat rations of basically just bread because the brain only needs glucose to function. Which is not really true. You're going to die in your 30s, but
Yeah, we're talking anime science here, so it's not. This is not to be repeated or respected.
Yeah. Not that I'm a great authority on how to have a balanced diet myself, but still.
Fair.
So, they are also. They call it an urban legend in the dub, but I don't think that's quite the right term. It's an internet legend of 4 players. Notice I said 2 earlier. 4 players who do not put their usernames in, which is a thing I'm pretty sure you can't do in most games, but fine.
That was, oddly enough, that was the one detail that took me out of this anime for a couple of minutes. I was like, that's not... No game would let you fill in the name as blank, especially an online user game.
Yeah, so... That was a little weird, but we'll, artistic license, we'll go with it. It's fine. So there are 4 players that leave their usernames blank, and they are the best at everything. Every game ever, even against people who cheat maliciously, they still win because they are that good. Demonstrated by them winning a 1,200 player match. I don't know what the fuck game they're playing. A 1,200 player match against people who very much were cheating, and they still won by predicting that the opponents would be cheating and, playing with that in mind.
I mean, eventually that has to become the norm.
Yeah. So, yeah, we then get the explanation that these 4 players aren't some legendary, mysterious figures. They're just 2 NEETs who have no lives whatsoever outside of video games, and they are for players because they play with their hands and their feet.
Those poor controllers. They don't bathe.
Yeah, that. I have to assume they wash those controllers on occasion for the sake of functionality, if nothing else. Like, those things that get,
Yeah.
like, jammed and shit. Jammed by toe jam. That's not a... Wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So, yeah. The least interesting explanation is usually the correct one, is the quote we get for this, for why that's the case. And they're amusing characters. Their dynamic is set pretty well right at the beginning. That, they're a brother and sister, and pretty much only a brother and sister. There are moments that are weird, but it's not a thing. Also, she looks very young, and it is creepy how all the Japan doing its thing, but still. But
The sister seems open to it, but he's not.
yeah. So they get a message from the narrator, basically, saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
this I forget what the first message says, but it's basically an invitation with a hot link, and it sends them to a chess game." I'm like, all right, well, little sister, you do this because this is your thing, because she is the 100% brain of the operation. Like an unrealistic brain of perfect logic, I guess, is the way I would describe it, where they talk a lot about how what's the term for it? Chess programs, that kind of thing. Where chess, if you can calculate the 10 to the power of 12 something different permutations of the board, then chess is as simple as tic-tac-toe. Or noughts and crosses, as it is in this country. Because there are only so many different ways that the game can go, and if you can see all of them in advance, you can predict a perfect path and just walk down it, and you'll win. And Shiro, the little sister, is supposedly someone who has done that 10 times, playing white and black against a chess program that was designed to beat grandmasters. Okay. So she sits down and starts playing the game, and then the program that they assume it is turns out not to be a program, because it makes a move that is not an advantageous move. It is a deliberately disadvantageous move, which means it has to be a human player, and they are doing some shenanigans. So Big Brother comes in. I forget what his name is. Anyone remember? Sora?
Isn't it Shiro?
Yeah, Shiro.
That was the sister.
Oh. Yeah, I don't actually remember.
I want to say it was Sora, but that might just be the fact that I've written Kingdom Hearts today. So.
Yeah, that. Either way, the brother.
Yeah. He jumps in because he is I guess the analyst of the human element.
Mm-hmm.
You could say. The tricky one. So they play this chess match, and it exhausts them, which is more than you can say for the other thing that they did early in the episode. Pardon. Clack in my throat. They get another message from the narrator, and they say, "Doesn't this world suck?" And the protagonists go on a bit of a rant about how the real world is a terrible game because it has no rules, like 7 billion players all doing their own thing. You can't skip your turn. There's no genre, and all of the systems don't make sense. That just makes it a bad game. So they decide that if such a world exists that only runs on game logic, then they were born in the wrong world. Narrator agrees and does like reaching through the fucking screen at them, and it's kind of pointless because the entire room just sort of falls apart immediately afterwards.
Yeah, he just kind of like hugs them, sort of.
And then the room falls apart, and they're falling from like 10,000 feet in the air. In a beautiful world. Like,
It is absolutely gorgeous. I remember, oh gosh, I remember when we first talked about this show. For you said it was eye searing.
yeah, that sounds like something I might have said.
Yeah, the colors in this are very vibrant, pastel,
Yeah.
and that's not always everyone's thing.
My one real gripe about it at the time was the colored lines. That the borders of objects were colored rather than being some form of black, whether very solid or very thin. The fact that they were colored, it was kind of washed out to me, is how it looked, and I didn't appreciate that much. I'm more on board with it now on a rewatch, but like I say, that might just be me getting used to the art style.
It does take some getting used to. It's not standard, so
Yeah. But it does just enhance the vibrancy of the world that they have now found themselves in. And the Rob, let's call him a Rob because he is.
yeah.
He looks like he fell into a dumpster filled with anime costume designs. And then just sort of rolled around for a little bit.
I was gonna say it took a while to get out of that pile.
Yeah, so he's a very eccentric design, let's call it. Fucking Christ. Yeah, but he is the god of games and the one god ascendant in this world. And he runs down the 10 rules for how this world works. In short, no killing, no thieving. If you want to settle a dispute, you do it with a game. If you get caught cheating, then you automatically lose. Every game, it has a wager, and it has to be an equal wager, and both parties have to agree to it.
It can be unequal, but both parties do have to agree to that.
Yes.
There's no
Both parties
deception.
have to
It has
agree
be
that it's equal, but that basically just means they have to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lastly, have fun. So, yeah. They continue falling, and the god is like, okay, so I live over there in that big chess piece tower. So come see me. I feel like it's not going to take you very long. And then they hit the ground, and I'm just going to call him Sora because it might be wrong, but it's just what I'm thinking of him as now. He sort of shields his little sister and lands back first, which
They would both die.
they would still both die, but it's a nice gesture. Yeah. Oh, my throat's fucked. God damn.
You've been clearing your throat a lot today.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe I should have gone with something hot instead of something cold. So, where were we? Yeah. So they
hit the
land,
ground
and then we
die.
smash cut to 3 dudes in their underwear begging these siblings to just maybe give us back pants, please. Implication being they just had a wager and lost everything. And they're like, no, all bets are final. So sorry, shit out of luck. So yeah, even bandits can't actually do anything to you unless they win a game.
It's a really fun rule set for a world to have that. It's just like everything has to be resolved by a game. It can be whatever game you want, but it has to be a game. You can't actually fight.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fucking Pokemon rules, is what it is.
Yeah, I
we
know.
get introduced into more aggressive game making later, which is not entirely consensual, but that comes later.
Hmm.
And it's also very tricky to pull off, so it's unique.
Yeah. So they walk into a town, a capital city of the human world, which happens to be their only city. Very convenient, but you know, writing contrivance. It's how you do things to make the plot happen how you want it to.
I mean, they have a direct, actual character in charge of their fate, so it makes the most sense here.
Yeah, that's true. So they show up and they see that a gambling tournament is happening, and they get an explanation that, so the king of the human kingdom passed away, and he decided that the best choice for a ruler would be the best gambler in the kingdom. So whoever wins this tournament gets to be the next ruler of the kingdom. His own granddaughter is competing in this tournament because, with the way that has been set out, she can't inherit the kingdom despite being, of royal blood. So she has to win it if she wants
automatically win.
Yeah. So, yeah. They play a game against a woman who is very visibly cheating to the audience, but also just probably also not a great cheater. Like, that was a very slow second deal. So, But yeah, they play a single hand of poker. Looked like 5-card stud based on how they were playing it. And somehow the siblings get a royal flush, which they don't really explain how that happened, but they don't really need to. Like, it's acknowledged that both of them were cheating.
Yeah, the thing about the cheating in this game is it's never really clear whether it's our perception is slowed down because the twins notice these kind of things better, or if they're actually that bad at cheating.
Yeah. So they win a bunch of money, and the brother barters his way into a room for the night and just basically shit talks the innkeeper until he gives them a room for the proper price, for the proper amount of days. And he notices that the girl who is expected to win this tournament, because she's just so great, is in fact cheating with the assistance of someone else who is sitting in the corner. So he tells the would-be princess who was sitting across from this girl playing a game with them that this lady's cheating. Doesn't do anything about it because you probably can't actually intervene beyond that. I don't remember whether that was a specific rule that someone else can't interfere in the game if they catch one side cheating or not. I don't think it was.
They just didn't want to tell her because, like, it's not their business. But
Yeah.
if she can't notice it, it's not their responsibility.
Yeah. So they go to their room and outline all of the things that they have. Basically, their devices, their gaming devices, their phones, a tablet computer, and a solar charger. So they can still use all of their electronics, but a lot of the resources they would have had on them are gone because they have no internet connection, obviously.
This isn't in another world with my smartphone. They don't just get magic internet.
Yeah. So they go to sleep and then wake up later. This is post the opening, which they show at the end of the episode, which is a thing that sometimes they do in animes. It's not really a thing I'm a fan of, but whatever. Though the opening is kind of a banger, I'm kind of into it. A lot of hooks that I really appreciate. Anyway, post that, they get a knock on the door in the middle of the night, and it is the princess, and she has no fucking clothes. She is wearing a sheet, and asking to be let into the room.
Which is a fairly common occurrence for her. She kind of sucks.
Yeah. Her entire character is that she is a terrible gambler and terrible at games.
But she knows politics.
Yeah. Which is basically saying, hey, Grandpa King was actually a smart dude because she would have been a terrible ruler for this setting. Yeah.
Yeah. You need somebody who's actually good at games in a world where any conflict is resolved by games.
Even border disputes, which is important for later.
The biggest one, really.
Yeah. So yeah, that is a lot of setup for the show, and it is done pretty competently, I would say. Outlined who the characters are, the setting, which, that would have been a tricky thing to do, I imagine, of getting all of this information out at once so people understand the basic gist of the world in a pretty cohesive manner. Yeah, so having the god outline all of the rules 1 through 10 right at the beginning is a little messy, but they do go back to demonstrate all of the rules after that, so it sticks in the head better.
That's a fair point. Again, you can get away with a lot when you literally have a character who's like, hey, this is how things work, and that's the point. But yeah.
We, the audience, are probably not as equipped, let's say, to immediately take in all 10 of those rules and be like, okay, I know the rules of the world now, and just be okay with it. But the characters are, and they can show how that works in practice, which is the important bit. Yeah. Outlining the 10 rules wasn't for our benefit, it was for the characters' benefit, so the characters could then display it to the audience, which is a pretty neat way of doing things, I'll say.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, yeah, and the art style is gorgeous. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, patient was having trouble. So the art style is gorgeous. The pastel is very vibrant. Eye-searing, I still kind of agree with that terminology. I think it's a good thing. It is...
I mean, it is very visually loud. So, yeah, no, it's not wrong.
It's visually loud, but it's visually loud in a way a lot of anime aren't. Like, it's very distinct. You don't often see this kind of color palette being used. A lot of soft colors and a lot of blended colors. So, you don't really see any solid one color textures of anything. Everything is affected by the light being cast on it and reflections and shit like that. So everything sort of looks a little washed out, but also in a way that is distinctive and kind of pretty. And I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, I watched the dub. Slicer, did you?
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah, it's a pretty good quality dub.
Yeah. It's solid for being, just a dub of like it's in English and it's acted probably as well as the Japanese, because that is a pretty common thing you hear from Japanese people. Like, you make fun of dubs because the voice acting is bad. If you actually understood Japanese, ooh boy, yeah. But yeah, there is a moment that was like, oh, this is not great, which was character who does not appear again, the poker lady. Just royal straight flush.
Yeah.
In fairness, that was probably exactly as over the top in the Japanese, but it's...
Oh, I have to assume. Like, I kind of assume that's the point.
yeah, I don't think that would have been great in either language, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's way too goofy. So yeah, I still appreciate the show. I did. Is there a second season of this? I don't actually know whether a second
No.
season ever got done.
There's a movie. That's it.
That's disappointing.
It always is when you see quality manga adapted to anime and then they only do part of the series.
Well, in fairness, it wasn't a manga. It was light novels, but still, yeah. Like with all of the different kind of garbage light novels that get adapted, and this one just kind of got one season and was like, whatever.
It's kind of weird. No, that's the wrong way to start that sentence. I'm curious if the light novel finished, or if that was also put on hold. I don't know what kind of health issues the author has, or if they're kind of go away, or because if it's just like he's going to be down and out for a few months, yeah, that would cancel an anime deal. But a light novel could just be put on hold for as long as you want. Really,
it says 2012 to present, but bear with me while I find the most recently published one: 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So they're coming out pretty slowly. Is the problem, it seems. Like, what is it? DxD came out a couple years earlier, and that has gone through, what, like, God, about 30 volumes at this point?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because it is a 25 of the original run, and then the true run is, like, on 5 or 6, so about 30. Yeah. Oh, not to mention the one that was like, hey, the anime was shit, let me explain why it's different.
Wait, for what?
For DxD.
Oh, I'm not as familiar with DSD as I assume I should be.
Yeah, the story went in a different direction for the anime, so the writer was like, okay, time travel. Issei's kids went back in time and changed some things, so now it's different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the anime is now officially an AU.
Huh. All right, ballsy.
Yeah. I mean, if it works, I don't know whether it did work, but
nothing is worse than Tokyo Ghoul. So, yeah.
Their animes just no.
Animes multiple.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I forgot.
I guess Ari Ghoul was not. It didn't fix the problems.
Didn't people
Like
love
the manga
Tokyo
is
Ghoul?
amazing for Tokyo Ghoul.
They did. They loved season 1.
Oh, that's a shame.
Then they decided it would be a good idea to do an anime only season, and it was not good.
Tokyo Ghoul is a weird situation where they ruined the first season so much that they can't actually follow the manga for a second season. So they had to do an anime original.
Then they tried to do a more manga appropriate second season, and it didn't turn out so well.
Hmm.
They just fucked it up or something. I don't actually know how they screwed it up. I didn't watch it.
Every single thing was just in the wrong place, and every single character had a different motivation than what they would normally would have. It was that like big of a screw up because they just
That's
cut out many events.
that's kind of amazing. Like it takes some real balls to like. I know there are a lot of really popular animes that end up having to have filler, but that's because hey, we've decided we're going to do the show weekly no matter fucking what. And if we don't have any more material from the original, we just have to keep going anyway. That's fair enough, but Tokyo Ghoul was in seasons, so it takes some real balls to say, okay, your story's good, but we're going to do our own for a bit, so, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
To kind of is the issue. So the first season has 12 episodes. In those 12 episodes, they fit over 60 chapters.
Okay, that feels a little extreme.
And those 60 plus chapters were relatively dense with a lot of dialogue that just doesn't make it in.
That makes sense. That sounds like a pacing thing. Like, adaptation, you want to change the pacing to fit the adaptation's medium. Like, a lot of dialogue is great for visual novels and manga and stuff like that because you can have all that, but you
and I don't
need
mean
to keep
like
the story moving.
I don't mean particularly dense in the same way as like Hunter x Hunter with pages upon pages, but like there's a lot of important events that were seen as not as important as other events. It took a psychological horror anime and turned it into an action anime is the issue.
Yeah, they changed genres.
So it was a Hollywood adaptation.
Yes, exactly.
The U.S. military jump in. Sorry, we were shit talking that on the fucking Discord recently. U.S. military just saying, "Hey, we'll give you an extra $20 million if you wank the military for us." Isekai Monster Hunter. Oh boy. Yeah. So anyway, No Game No Life. The show we were actually supposed to be talking about. Yeah, it's really. I mean, we've seen it beyond this episode, so I can say the whole games ruling everything thing means they get to do a lot of cool shit with games. I don't know what the proper name for it is. I want to say word association, but it's not that. Where it's the last letter to first letter thing.
Yeah, Jabril, the angel character, who I love the voice of, her game is really interesting. It's like you say the name of something and suddenly that disappears. But there's rules of what you can say and what order you have to say it in.
Yeah. You can say something and it will appear, or if it's already there, it will disappear.
I remember there was one that was like there was a first-person shooter one later on that was really fun as well.
Yeah, that was the end of the season finale. Against the Beastmen. I want to say it was.
Yeah,
but
I forget which.
I remember I had read the light novels for quite a fair bit, and consistently I liked it. The issue why I stopped is because the light novel stopped, not because of anything else. It was specifically, it's no more is coming out right now. But I think they did a OVA recently, which is the backstory to the world, which is really cool. I need to check that out at some point because that's like, here's the War of the Gods and how it ended up being a game world.
Yeah, they do go into that a little bit in this episode, which I think we glossed over, which was a narrator going, I want to say 16 gods just fought and tried to declare themselves the dominant god of the world. And they fought and killed, and then there was just a pile of corpses littering the world. And Tet, the god of games, was just like the last one standing because everyone else had fucked each other, and he just didn't participate.
Yeah, it had kind of a realistic DBZ scenario where if a bunch of powerful people fight, the planet explodes. Only it didn't explode, it just killed most of the people on it.
And then the one dude that was saying, hey, this is stupid the entire time was like, yeah, I guess I was fucking right, morons.
So we're doing things my way from now on.
Yeah. So, so yeah, that's No Game No Life. It's really good. I really recommend it. It is so creative in how it does a lot of things, and yeah, that last section is great from a character perspective more than a game perspective.
I mean, I like the sound of it, other than the nudity, of course. I'm probably going to give it a look anyway.
It's those scenes are very fan servicey, and you can pretty much just listen to them.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly standard shonen fan service fare. You've seen this kind of thing before in other shows. It's not egregious. Like, I mean, saying you've seen this sort of shit in other shows is not say much because you've seen fucking Aiken, but still. It doesn't get to that level. It gets to, like, One Piece and fucking, I don't know, other stuff of that ilk when it does the fan service stuff.
As you say.
Is
So, yeah.
One Piece egregious with its fan service?
It has moments.
I haven't.
It does have moments.
There is a scene where Nami's in the bath and she almost gets raped by the Invisible Man. It's basically the Hollow Man scene.
I remember you guys talking about that one specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened.
Oh boy.
Yep. The character that did that died off screen.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was fan backlash or.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Apparently, he just really hated that character and wanted him to be gone.
I mean, you create a sexual predator. Who likes that kind of character? It's no one's surprise that he got off like that. No one's mourning.
Phrasing.
You beat me to it. But yeah, you raise a good point. I'm curious if that character was intended to made to die.
Yeah. It's him and the other guy that was made to die. Also, well said for sexual predator because he was a tiger man. Rawr. Anyway.
Lion.
Lion? I thought he was a tiger.
No. He explicitly states it's a lion's jaw. And skin.
Oh, right.
Muscles.
That's why it was throwing me, because it was just the maw and not the whole head. So it didn't have the mane.
Yeah. No, well, his hair was appropriate.
He had a hat, if memory serves. Anyway, we've gotten really off topic. Okay, so
Sorry.
No Game No Life is really good. So watch it. It's really good. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Go watch it. It's great. Yeah.
Okay, so turns out Casey was jumping the gun because we've recorded a 43-minute anime Reflux so far. So he forgot that we need to roll a new one. So
that is a part of the process.
Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad.
Everyone. Okay. Well, how many are in that?
122.
122. Got it.
What letter was it?
T.
53.
53. Well, it's one of the ones that starts with The Legend of, and we have 5 of those.
Oh, fun.
This one is The Legend of Koizumi.
Okay.
Legend
I've never
of
heard, but that's not super surprising. I don't think I've heard of any of
Koizumi.
them.
Okay, here we go. I got it. It is a short description. That's the wrong channel. Now chat. There we go. There we go. Story is a fictionalized version of Japan's 89th Prime Minister Joichiro Koizumi. In this political parody, Koizumi plays a special form of mahjong diplomacy against foreign adversaries such as George W. Bush, Kim Jong-il, Vladimir Putin, Margaret Thatcher, and others. What? It is one episode, though.
So it's real life, no game, no life? What?
Interesting, but I don't think so. One episode, 26 minutes.
It's applicable. I mean, it's the right length.
It's one episode. Apparently, it was a bunch of shorts that have just been, collated into a single episode on the site.
Ah.
Well, in that case, take it from the top on T, 121 instead.
Yeah, that sounds best. I would have been really interested if this was an actual show, but yeah. I want to see a extravagant Japanese man yell at Margaret Thatcher. That sounds like my jam, but oh well. I might watch it on my own time.
Maybe just post your reactions as an individual video.
I'll put it in recommended, the channel, if it is actually good.
All right. Once again, it's 121 now.
Silence.
Zero, you with us?
Yes.
You need to roll.
Yeah, I'm here. 121. Got it. Let's see. Oh, I rolled the wrong one. 21.
Just 21?
Yep.
Okay. Atasho Yaku Musume, or Taisho Baseball Girls.
Tasho, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. I can't find this one.
Maybe it's Taisho. I might have put it in wrong.
Oh, okay, hang on. Taisho Yaku Musume. Yeah, okay. It is Taisho, not Tasho. Okay, I'm just going to link.
In case I have it in the wrong place on the list, I should roll it again. Not really, no.
Well, it's fine. It was still on the list and it got rolled. The novels are set in 1925 when two 14-year-old Japanese high school girls named Kome and Ko
Wow.
I can't really say whether that's supposed to be Shuko or Shiko or decide to start a baseball team in Japan where few baseball teams, male or female, exist at the time. First, though, the two girls have no clue where to find 9 players, how to use the equipment, and what even the rules are.
And yet they decide to... I mean, if it's an unexplored... If it's an underrepresented medium, I suppose, but really?
I mean, it's the 20s. This is before, American culture was let's sugarcoat it a lot and say imported into Japan.
That does actually raise a question that I'm not aware of. Was baseball super popular before World War II?
I don't know.
Like it's super popular now, but
Are you meaning like in America or like just
in Japan specifically, because like the Japanese love baseball, but I'm not sure if that's because we forced them to like baseball, or if back in the 20s it was their thing.
Googling Japanese baseball history. First played in the 1920s. Well, you know, that's the thing. That's the anime is about. It was a school sport in 1872, introduced by American Horace Wilson. The first organized team was the Shimbashi Athletic Club, established in 1878. So it was a thing for a long time, but not as incredibly popular as it eventually became. But that's pretty much how all sports work.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. I have no great objection to watching this. Could be.
Yeah, no,
fun.
I'm good.
Interesting.
Yeah, no great objection from me either.
Yeah,
sports anime are kind of samey, but I'm open to being surprised.
Period piece in 1920s Japan sounds interesting all on its own.
If it's a good period piece. But,
granted.
Yeah.
By the way, here's something interesting. Not related to the show, but related to the list. Q is back on as of next week.
Oh, what came out?
A show called Kinsha. Across thousands of years, a terracotta warrior comes back to life. With a girl who looks exactly like his sister-in-law, they fight crimes and become heroes to bring back justice.
Until you mentioned the sister-in-law bit, it was like Doomslayer, and that was cool. And then it got not cool.
Huh. Just letting you know.
The back to life is what's throwing me, because they were just statues. They were sculptures. Okay.
Terracotta Warrior, go!
I'm pretty sure the entire point of them was the emperor was like, eventually once China is unified, the only army we will need is made of like stone or something. The only soldiers we'll need are these statues for decoration and whatever. That might have been someone else. I don't know. Okay, so it's added another 10 minutes to the fucking record. This is a ridiculous Reflux. We spent so much time on this. So yeah, we're doing 20s Japanese baseball next time. Bye, everybody.
Sweet. See you guys.
Bye.
Rabbits.
Oh,